Hi there, I'm Eshaan M reporting for Kids First, and I am very excited for this interview. Today, I'll be speaking with Miss Prue Leith, one of the judges of the Great American Baking Show Season 2, which releases on the Roku Channel on May 24th. Ms. Leith is a renowned restaurateur, caterer, food writer, novelist, and TV presenter. She's been the cookery correspondent for the Daily Mail, Sunday Express, and The Guardian, and has been awarded the OBE and the CBE for her services to the culinary arts and food journalism. Ms. Leith, delighted to have you with us today, and welcome to Kids First.
Hello, Eshaan. Thank you. That was a huge introduction.
So we can start with this one. You're no stranger to culture shock. You were born and brought up in South Africa, you studied in France, and you now call England home. Was there a sort of sense of culture shock being exposed to American baking and bakers after serving as a judge on primarily British shows for a while?
Well, I was a bit nervous about it because this is a couple of years ago, but I've got really happy about it now. But at the beginning, I was a bit nervous that the American contestants might be like some of the contestants I'd seen in other competition shows in America, where there's an enormous money prize that they all want to win, and they're busy dissing their rivals and, if possible, sabotaging their efforts and trying to get their faces in the camera and sort of playing up to the camera a lot, and that you think all they want is fame, and they don't actually, it hasn't been like that. And I was so relieved because I thought it might be, which was very prejudiced of me. But I didn't realize that, of course, every baker who joins the Great American Baking Show will have watched the Great British Baking Show, and they will have sort of absorbed the attitude and the atmosphere of generally warm, cooperative family, never angry, never trying to sabotage your friends or your rivals. And it was just like that. So I loved it.
I love it. How do you think American and British bakers differ? I mean, whether this is technically or any other way. And the question of the hour, who are the better bakers?
I think that the American and British bakers, I mean, they both have the same skills. I mean, baking skills are universal.
Mhm.
So they both have to have that. Well, they wouldn't be on this show if they didn't have those skills. But I think the differences, if you like, are really they're about taste. I mean, Americans generally like more sugar in things than the British do, and they like more of it. So they like bigger things, and their idea of frosting is usually an inch thick, not frosting, whereas the mean Brits will just put a little smear of it. I think there's for me, the American taste for sugar is a bit extreme. Um, and their enthusiasm for size could be toned down a bit.
All right. So what's been your most favorite part of judging this season?
Well, I like bread week best because it's savory for a start, so I get away from the overload of sugar. So I can't tell you too much, except that they were the best bunch we've had so far. And Paul says this is because bakers are inevitably getting better and better. They had a good dose of baking during lockdown where they were stuck at home. And
Mhm.
as more and more bakers are applying every year, we're getting a better choice. And it is true that the bakers this year have been remarkable. And people often ask me, are they better than the British? And I think when I first joined doing the Bake Off, I think the British still had an edge, was still reliably better. I don't think that's true anymore. I think they're absolutely level pegging. And in fact, Paul had the temerity to say that the American bakers are better than the British, which I couldn't quite stomach. I think they're rather.
We love Paul for that. This is a question that I've been dying to ask. Is judging the Great American Baking Show as fun as it looks?
It is. We absolutely love it. And I mean, we've been doing it for years now. And And it is just, I mean, who wouldn't like it? I mean, think of the job. You walk onto the set. You don't have to learn any lines. You don't have to write a script. You don't have to rehearse. You just walk on, you eat cake, you say what you think, and you walk off, and you get paid. I mean, is there any job better than that?
That is true. That is true. No, I was like, it must be so fun to walk on set and just have so much sugar, have so much, sometimes savory things. So children's nutrition and kids in general have been a big part of your life, whether we're talking about your role as chair of the UK government's School Food Trust, or your documentary with your daughter. What do you think will appeal to young viewers in this season of the Great American Baking Show?
Well, I think children love competition. They love to watch people struggling. And I think the kids, I mean, I've got grandchildren, and what they like about the baking show is they love two things. They like the competition, and they latch very quickly onto somebody who they want to win, and they back them like you would a football team.
Mm-hmm.
And they get very upset when I get my grandchildren complaining to me, how could you have booted so-and-so out? I mean, she was the best, because they're very loyal to the person they're following. But I think children will love the competition.
I love it. So on that topic of the deliberation, right, how the judges make their decisions, is it as cut and dry as it appears on screen? Are there sometimes disagreements, and how are those disagreements resolved?
Well, occasionally Paul and I will disagree a bit, but the interesting thing is, even though you don't see this on screen, but every single bake we judge, we actually mark it, because it's helpful to us to have a record, so that if we have to go back and discuss it, the next day, for example, so we know exactly what we said and thought. And even though sometimes we appear to disagree because I will like something more than Paul does, or the other way around, I'll think, what if you give him a handshake for that? It just wasn't worth it. And then I'll be quite indignant about it. And it'll sound as if I really didn't like it. But when we go back and look at the scores, we are never, ever more than one out. I'll give it 7, he'll give it 6. I'll give it 8, he'll give it 7, or something. We both give it 5 or 5.5 or something. So it's sort of comforting to think that we never really disagree.
What do you think, or I guess, what is the season made you excited for in future seasons of the Great American Baking Show, or even in the British shows that you're judging? Has this kind of given you something to think about more, or has there been a change in how you evaluate things?
You know what I'd like to see more of, because I think we've now been, we've had a couple of seasons now with Roku, and I think it would be fun to do more regional stuff. Because I know in the Great British Bake Off, we've just had a sort of Scottish week, and that's interesting because even in and there will be, like in New York is the place for babka,
right?
I'm sure Pennsylvania will be the place for something else, and I don't know what these regional things are, but I bet you there are very interesting regional dishes which I would like to see Roku have a go at.
That would be really fun, because I do know that a lot of the regional episodes, even in the British, the British show, have really gone very well. So I'm excited to see that. Hopefully, the makers hear your cry.
I think what's really good about the regional idea is that people get so behind their region because they're already loyal to that, Seattle, let's say.
Yeah.
Will be very clear about what something should be made or how it should be baked. My grandmother made it like that. No, that's all wrong. So it would create a lot of discussion, and it would be fun to do, I think.
Thank you so much, Ms. Leith, for chatting with me today. I really, really enjoyed it. All right, folks, the Great American Baking Show will be available on the Roku channel beginning on May 24th, 2024, so definitely go and check it out. This is Eshaan M from Kids First, signing off. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss my next interview or review or those of my Kids First teammates. I will see you at the movies. Bye!
I love the taste of goat cheese and blackberry together.
You say goat cheese?
Yes.
You don't say goat's cheese. Is that an American thing? Because we say goat's cheese.
Many goats' cheeses.
There we go.